The hills are calling, and I must go, because there's monsters in those mountains. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It is October, arguably the best month out of the year here in West Virginia. I know it's been a couple weeks since I was able to make a video for you guys, but I left it up to you guys. I put a poll on social media. I said if I can only do one video this month, what do you guys want to see? And you guys voted for some West Virginia monsters. And the story involving my leg and a trick-or-treating incident that ended in, it was like 15 or 18 stitches, didn't get a single vote. But there's always next year. I am going to run a very good campaign for the leg story next year. So let's get right into it. Today we are going to cover three West Virginia cryptids. The very first one we're going to get into is the Yahoo, or the West Virginia Bigfoot. There have been Bigfoot sightings in all 50 states except for Hawaii, and West Virginia is no different. The BFRO, or the Bigfoot Field Researcher Organization, has documented 92 Bigfoot sightings across the Mountain State. Some of the first Bigfoot accounts in West Virginia date back to the 20s and 30s. Most sightings are reported in or near the Monongahela National Forest over in the eastern part of the state, but there have been some Yahoo sightings in the southern and southwestern part of the state as well. This creature is typically described as about an 8-foot tall, ape-like humanoid covered in jet black fur, and is identifiable by its blood-curdling scream. Now, I think it's important to note that some of these early sightings that came out of the eastern part of the state, a lot of these people would have been familiar with what black bears look like. And in many of these accounts, they say the creature was more ape-like than bear-like. Now, probably one of the weirdest cryptids here in West Virginia are white things. And they are very difficult to describe because besides having a white or off-white fur, they really don't have any other characteristics in common. While some white things might take the form of large dogs or wolves, other ones appear to be more like prehistorical large felines that at one point existed in the Mountain State. And there's even a large demonic sheep/goat-like creature known as the sheep squash. Let me repeat that again. Known as the sheep squash, that has been seen in some parts of the state of West Virginia. Now, again, these creatures don't really seem to match the description of any animals that should exist here in the Mountain State. Sometimes they have hooves, other times they have paws, other times they will be bipedal with human-like hands. So it's very hard to get a consistent description of these animals. But from interactions people have had with them, they are known to be able to kill livestock with brutal efficiency. In accounts where white things have attacked humans, victims claim that they could feel the creature's teeth and claws actually ripping into them, but when the creature leaves, they very rarely actually show any signs of injuries, making individuals believe that these creatures are able to attack humans psychically, just in an attempt to inflict terror and try to get individuals to flee areas. Likewise, during some of these encounters, people have shot at white things, and bullets don't really seem to do anything besides merely scare them off. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to describe white things. Hopefully you never run into one, but they are a cryptid that has persisted across the Mountain State, and yeah, they're just overall pretty weird creatures. Now, last but not least, we are going to have to talk about him, the big guy himself, it's hard to have any conversation about West Virginia cryptids without talking about the Mothman. I don't think I've ever talked about him on the channel. There have been tons, probably hundreds, if not thousands of videos by this point made on the topic of Mothman. Since it is October and this is what you people wanted, and they canceled his festival this year. They canceled the Mothman Festival in 2020, and it's a shame. I feel horrible if he actually tried making an appearance this year and there was no one there, but let's talk about the Mothman. So, stories of winged humanoids go back millennia, but in the mid-60s, West Virginia was ground zero to a number of sightings involving this weird winged creature. Now, the first sighting of Mothman was November 12th, 1966, in Clendening, West Virginia, when 5 individuals were digging a grave in a cemetery and saw what looked like a winged human figure fly over their heads into a wooded area. 3 days later, on November 15th, 1966, 2 young couples from the Point Pleasant area were driving through what is known as the TNT area. There was at one point a munitions plant in Point Pleasant. They had a run-in with this creature, and the creature seemingly chased them out of the area by flying after them. Reports vary on what the creature looked like, if the creature was actually flapping its wings, or if it was just gliding at a high speed, but it was able to keep up with the car, even though the car was moving at an exceedingly high rate of speed. Now, after many of these sightings, a doctor by the name of Robert L. Smith, he was a wildlife biologist at West Virginia State University, told reporters he thought these sightings matched the description of a sandhill crane. This is a very large bird, almost as tall as a man, with about a 7-foot wingspan, and the creature has these reddish-colored circles around its eyes. And that this bird might have gotten lost during its migration period and ended up in the Point Pleasant area. During 1966 and 1967, Point Pleasant was a hotbed of paranormal activity. Not just were there Mothman sightings, but there were Men in Black sightings, there were poltergeist activity, there were Bigfoot sightings, there was UFO activity, there was electromagnetic anomalies. During that little bit over a year period, Point Pleasant was ground zero of various paranormal activity. And this activity kind of came to a head on December 15th, 1967, with the collapse of the Silver Bridge. This bridge collapse resulted in the death of some 46 people, and the incident gave rise to the legend that connected Mothman with the bridge collapse. Now, since the Silver Bridge collapse, there have been reports of winged humanoids in areas before tragic events, from everything from Mount St. Helens to the Chernobyl disaster. And it has led people to speculate that maybe Mothman either causes tragic events or that Mothman might be a forewarner of tragic events. Also, it is believed that Mothman may or may not have a connection to bodies of water, being that he was first seen in Clendening, West Virginia, which is right by the Elk River. Later, he was seen at Point Pleasant, which lies at the point where the Kanawha River connects into the Ohio River. Now, as a West Virginian, I didn't actually hear about the Mothman from any sources within West Virginia. The first time I ever heard of Mothman was from the TV show Invader Zim. In it, one of the characters, Dib, his code name is actually Agent Mothman. And that was really the first time I had ever heard of Mothman. I think it was really kind of the mid 2000s, early 2000s, when the Mothman Prophecy movie came out, that I actually heard and started learning more and more about Mothman. And here recently, thanks to Fallout 76, Mothman has kind of seen a resurgence in popularity, in recognition. There is a Mothman museum, and there is a Mothman festival that's typically held every year. Of course, they had to cancel it this year. Unfortunately, I was kind of looking forward to possibly going to it this year, and of course taking you guys along with me, but it was unfortunately canceled. Now, that was just a handful of West Virginia cryptids. There are many, many, many more. I hope you liked this video. If you did, share it, like it, leave a comment, help the channel grow, subscribe if you haven't, and until next time, don't forget to stay wild, and stay wonderful, and stay weird, and I'll talk to you later.